attendance. And we first of all will start with an invocation by Council Member Crandall and a pledge then by Council Member Snelson.
Our dear Father in heaven, we are so grateful to be here as citizens and employees and of the city, and we are so grateful to do the business of the city, and we are grateful for our firefighters that are here this evening, that we are grateful to be able to have them serve our community and keep us safe, and we are grateful to live here in Springville in this beautiful area, and we pray that we might be able to have thy Spirit to be with us in a spirit of kindness and love for one another, and for gratitude to live in this great city and country, and that we have the ability to govern ourselves, and what a privilege that is. And we say these things in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
As we stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance, I'd like everybody to think of what that actually means to you while we say those words. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I need a motion for approval of this meeting's agenda. Oh, with the exception that we're taking 2 items off of the consent agenda for question or comment. Item number 4 and item number 5, so I need that adjustment.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting's agenda with the exception of removing consent agenda items number 4 and 5 to the regular agenda for discussion.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Well, we'd like to welcome also any scouts or students who are here as students. Raise your hand. Oh my goodness, look at them. Great. And you're here to see if we stay awake during the whole meeting, is that right? Great, great. Okay, well, you're going to find out whether that happens or not. So we appreciate your attendance here. As I said to them out in the foyer, anybody who wants to come up here and sit on the stand with us, you're welcome to come do this. We try to stock up on candy so we can sugar them up. But what this does for them, and they're welcome to do this, is to come up here and be able to actually see it take place from our vantage point rather than from the audience vantage point. Now, we may not have enough chairs. We may need to get a couple more, which is okay. So,
Mayor, some of us are out of candy.
Yeah,
we've got some candy
on.
right
Oh,
down
keep
here,
it coming
man.
then.
I've
It's
just got
coming.
some books.
That's what I have in my
Yeah.
pocket now.
There we go, man. Okay, this is scary, isn't it? I love it. I love it. This keeps the council members in check. Okay, super. All right. I also would like to mention, if anybody would like to make comments, we have 2 that have been submitted. We encourage you to, if you have a comment you'd like to make to us, there is a comment sheet we'd ask you to fill out just so that we know who it is and we have it for the record. And we have 2 that will be speaking to us. Jessica and Kurt will be speaking. But if anybody else would like to do it, and then once you have that paper, if you'd bring it over to Kim Crane, we would appreciate that for the record. Okay. Well, Fire Chief Clinton, thank you so much. We're so glad to have you here. And Chief Hay, we're glad to have you here. You're not out vacationing with the family. So we're grateful for you here. And there's a special swearing-in ceremony for our firefighters and our paramedics. And we simply say, I'll speak personally, you do what I would not do. You would very quickly see that I would faint. You just do an incredible job, and there's so much responsibility that you have. I'm just finishing up a book in which it talks about people that are in your line of work, stories, real life stories that they go through. And it humbles me to see that people are so willing to help in so many ways. So thank you for what you do. And our citizens, thank you for it. So, and this is another shift than we had 2 weeks ago. And so, Chief, if you'd like to come up here.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. It's a privilege to have this opportunity to swear in another portion of our firefighters, our professional firefighters. Tonight it's A shift. And if they would join us up front here, we'll go through the swearing in, and then we'll also have a badge pinning ceremony. Hopefully you briefed your loved ones. Before we swear in, I'd like to thank also the Mapleton Fire Department, who's with us, supporting us, and they're covering while we do this in case we get a call. So we appreciate them helping us make this a special opportunity moment. Afterwards, after the badge pinning, we can conclude and gather in the multi-purpose room where we can have a meet and greet and take photographs and stuff. All right. Gentlemen, if you would raise your right arm and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that as a firefighter of the Springville Fire and Rescue, I will obey and defend the Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution of the State of Utah. And respect the property and rights of others. I will fulfill my fundamental duties to serve humankind, to safeguard and preserve life and property, against the adverse effects of fire, medical emergencies, and exposure to hazardous conditions. I will uphold the policies and procedures of Springville Fire and the standards of my profession. I will not allow my personal feelings, preferences, or prejudice to deter the performance of my duties. So help me God. Thank you, gentlemen. So if you're pinning a badge tonight, now's the time. Come on up.
I got plenty.
As tradition holds, would you like me to introduce themselves?
Council, so maybe just come up to the podium and so.
There you go.
We did this last week, but you weren't here.
Yeah, and I have to correct it. The chief gave hugs and kisses to that last group, and I'm not sure what happened with this group, so you're going to have to explain yourself a little. So,
We're A shift. We get dirtier, so that's why I didn't kiss us and hug us. Ryan Nichols, been here for 6 years. I'm a captain currently on A shift, and really appreciate the support, and thanks for having us here tonight.
My name is Gerald Linebaugh, and it's an honor to serve the city of Springville. I appreciate this opportunity. Thank you very much.
My name is Everest Ferguson, a paramedic firefighter. I actually just moved to C shift, but it's an honor to come tonight to have this ceremony. Thank you.
My name's Cole Forsyth. I'm a probationary firefighter. Been on about 9 months now. Just happy to be here.
My name is Matt Peel, the paramedic on A platoon, and happy to be here. Happy to serve Springville. Thanks.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. And also thank you to Mapleton. Again, we appreciate you being here. As always, wonderful. Yep, your sister city, and we love you. Okay, we'll move to the public comment, an opportunity for anybody who would like to say a few words. And we have two, so we'll first have Kurt Butcher, who will talk about Active Transportation Master Plan, which will be talked about tonight. So Kurt, if you want to come up.
Do you want to take that now or after the presentation? I mean, it could be either place.
What would you like to do, Kurt? Your pleasure. Okay, presentation first. Very good. We'll move to Jessica Maxwell. If you just state your name and your address, that way we have it for the record. So thanks.
Yes, my name is Jessica Maxwell. My address is 1375 East 200 South Springville, Utah. I'm a recent move into Springville, Utah. We have been here just over 6 months now, and I just wanted to come and ask the council and, well, thank the council and the mayor. Thank you for the hard work you do for our city. I know that it's sometimes thankless and it can be really hard and really difficult. But my question is, as a citizen, what prevention efforts are being done in our city? Prevention meaning substance use, alcohol, and suicide prevention.
This is an opportunity for you to comment. We don't have this isn't a back and forth, so I should have explained that before.
No,
so
that's
I apologize
all right. So I would
to
just
you.
like to bring up the question,
Sure.
and then I would like to but I would like to suggest that prevention is something that we all need to address and that we all need to be aware of. These issues are not isolated issues, and they are widespread and they're rampant, especially in the wake of COVID-19. So moving forward, I would like to discuss with council and discuss with other leaders of our city what we can do and what we can do to help the youth and the children in our city. So it's a real concern, it's a real problem, and I'm a mother, I have 2 little kids, and I just am really passionate about prevention and making sure that we're setting the future of our youth up for success. So anyway, thank you, and
good.
I hope to speak with you again soon.
That'd be great. Thank you very much.
Mayor, just quickly,
Yes,
if you'll catch the attention of Mr. Penrod whenever you're ready to leave. So Mr. Penrod can step out with you and kind of give you an answer to your question.
Yeah, and help you just a little bit. We've talked about this, and in some other settings that I'm in, there's very active conversation about this, and lots and lots and lots of money is being now put into this in the state of Utah. And in fact, we even had this discussion this morning in one of the meetings in relationship to helping our youth and whatnot. So this is really on the front end of things. So we appreciate your interest and I think it's forefront in everyone's mind. So, John, if you want to just mention or talk with her, that'd be very, very good. So, and as you are just moving in, we're open for suggestions on how to improve those kinds of things. So. Very good. Okay, let's move to the consent agenda items. That's item number 2 and item number 3. Any questions or in relationship to that? If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
I'll motion to approve items number 2 and 3 of the consent agenda.
Okay, we have a motion, a second.
I'll second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye. Resolution. I think we have to vote because of the resolution, don't we? Maybe not.
It's a roll call.
Very good. Very good. Okay. Do we need to read the resolution? Nope. Okay. Thanks, Craig, for that good catch. Okay, Mr. Sorensen?
Yes.
Ms. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Snelson?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Jensen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Well, let's move, if that's okay. Josh, are you here? Oh, there you are. Would you like to take item number 4 and item number 5 so we can talk a little bit about it and ask some questions in relationship to it?
Sorry. As he comes up, item number 5 actually needs to be heard after item number 9. So we can either take 9 and then 5, or we can wait for 5 after 9, if that would be okay.
Okay, well, let's just take 5 and do it after 9.
Okay.
That'd be okay. Okay, Josh, you want to address number 4?
Sure, Mayor, Council. What questions are there regarding item number 4?
I think this was Liz that wanted to ask about the Spring Creek.
Oh. On item number 4.
You were asking
Spring
about public
Creek
comment or
subdivision.
something like that.
Oh, yes, yes. I had just wanted to know if we felt like public comment was sufficient on that.
This is not
And that is, or is that not something that we even needed to bring up?
no, this
it's
is
just-
not
okay.
a legislative item.
All right,
This is
thank you.
just administrative.
Okay,
They did,
Because-
you're probably thinking
yeah.
they asked for a rezone a couple of years ago.
yes,
And that was denied. And so this
okay,
subdivision is planned under the existing R115.
They tried to go
Yeah,
R110.
They tried to go
Yeah.
R110. And
Okay.
this subdivision is proposed under the,
Wasn't there some county, some county property that they were also trying to grab?
we
and
had to
did that go
tidy
through?
up some annexation boundaries that weren't in line with property.
So they did get that to
Mhm,
keep
that's
their
all.
15. It's cool.
Yeah, all the annexations are done, everything's tidied up, and they're ready to move forward. And we have people calling us all the time, asking us if they can buy a lot.
okay.
Can we build
Thank-
on it?
So they are ready to move forward with development there.
Yes,
Haven't they built one home on this property?
No,
Is it
there's
just
been-
adjacent to it?
just to the southwest on that corner of,
Yeah, I thought it was in the same,
no.
but it's not, but it's
This
contiguous.
is all
isn't it?
Fact Rolls Fields.
But is it not contiguous?
No, it's not.
Okay. I thought it was.
It's just one street to the west.
Okay,
Thank
that
you.
help you, Liz?
Yes, thank you,
All
Josh.
right,
It's-
very good. Then, any other questions in relationship to that? Okay, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the Spring Canyon subdivision.
I'll make a motion to approve the Spring Canyon subdivision to be located in the 22 East, 800 South area in the R115 single-family residential zone.
Okay, I need a second.
I'll second.
Those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Okay, very good.
Okay.
Okay, Chris?
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Today, so Chris Wilson, Chief Engineer. Today, we're going to talk about the Hobble Creek Industrial project. This project, let's see, I'm getting a presentation here. So Hobble Creek Industrial is a industrial project, commercial project that we presented before you earlier this year for an extension on their the deadline of their completion. They were granted an extension May 16th of 2023, and that new deadline was extended to October 31st, which was last Tuesday, which brings the purpose of this topic. Just a summary of the project. The framework improvements, as of the 31st, the areas in green were what were fully completed. The areas in green consist of 1750 West and 1650 West. Then, like I said, this was as of October 31st, so last Tuesday. They have been working on the red section, which more than 50% is now completed. Not all been fully accepted yet, but in the process thereof. So some of those items included road section rebuild, pressure irrigation main, asphalt work, sidewalk, and other street surface items. A good portion of the asphalt is now complete, and sidewalk just waiting for final inspection and approval of those items. Winter weather is now in consideration, so the last bit of asphalt on the south half of the road makes it hard to complete this project before probably spring time. Another item is that the contractor who's present here tonight, the owners present, and I believe maybe the lender can speak to any questions you may have. But we've been notified that there are payments that have been deferred or late or in such with the contractor and maybe the lender, but I don't have any of those numbers or backup that I can present to you tonight. The current bond held by the city is a cash bond in the amount just shy of $1.5 million. The unfinished improvements that I mentioned as of last Tuesday would have been close to, based on my bond estimates, what was collected in the areas, are around $350,000, and those would have to be obviously compared with the contractor's costs as well. And then, like I said, I'm not sure of totals quite yet of unpaid amounts. The reason why I bring up the lien and unpaid amounts are because of what is read in the code. If found in default and the bond was forfeit, those funds would be available to make any required corrections, finish any unpaid or finish any incomplete public improvements and go towards any unpaid items. And once forfeit, per the code, we would hold the complete amount of the bond until the project is complete, and that money could be used to finish up the project where the city would manage that work. Staff is requesting, following the code, the forfeit of the improvements. We would first work with the existing contractor, preferably being the one that's the bond was posted against their pricing, and hopefully that holds. But they would complete that under the management of the city, the unfinished items. We would need to hold a 10% warranty bond for the remainder of the 1-year warranty period, which we would start once all the items are completed. And then the money, whatever's left over, could go towards any unpaid items if necessary. And lastly, the remainder would be then able to be released. That's, in summary, that's the what the code would have us do. My recommendation is that we do hold the bond to get the items finished, but if you're welcome to have the owner or the contractor answer any questions you may have as well, or if you have any additional questions for me, I can answer those now.
What was the bond again? One point what?
It's just shy of 1.5, 1.477.
Are there any instances where we have released part of it and held just enough to cover the incompleted amount?
Typically, before the deadline, we would do that, just that. Really, this is pretty rare that we get to this point of forfeiting on bonds, so how we proceed after this would be at your discretion.
We gave an extension previously, right?
Correct, in May of this year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, other questions for Chris? We'll have an opportunity here from public comment, so.
Well, and you're not suggesting that we keep it forever. You're suggesting we use the by keeping the bond, that we make sure that it gets paid for, and then what doesn't, we'd return at that point.
Correct.
Okay.
But
because in theory, we wouldn't have to give any of it back. Legally, or would
I
we?
would have to consult.
Would we? We would. Okay.
Yeah, what we do is
in excess of what it costs to.
we'd take the full amount,
Okay.
figure out what the improvements were, pay for those, and then return it.
issue.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the hard part is if all the improvements could be done in a short period of time, like before, the hard part is we have winter coming in.
Yeah.
Asphalt is your biggest holdup with the temperatures, so to finish everything, you would probably not see it happen until spring.
And liens are related to the completion of bonded items, or what are the liens in?
Well, the only thing that we can, the bond itself can be tied to in terms of like paying off any kind of a lien would be anything that's related to the bond itself, so those public improvements.
Those public improvements, okay. And there are liens even for public improvements that you're aware of?
I haven't verified, but I've been told.
You know, we actually, and if you want to go back to the code section on that, there's even some question over what exactly we can do there, because the code actually just gives us authority to install or cause the improvements to be installed there in bold and underlined underneath. So past due payments may be contractual between developer and builder.
Yeah, and
so it'll be something we'll have to look at. If the council does decide to default, we'll have to get all the documents. We'll have to look at what still needs to go in and what the costs are for those, and then look at everything in the
And
past.
staff is recommending that we default then, right?
Yes.
Are you also saying, so I understand, that we don't know whether or not the other improvements that have been made have actually been paid for? We don't know that, do we?
that's correct.
And so that's part of the insurance about not releasing it, in case there are some liens against the builder by other contractors that might fall to us because it's our improvements. That's part of why we want to keep the whole amount, even though on paper it looks like it's not the full 1.5 million, but we don't know for sure that that's the case.
Yeah, well, we also need to get bids to really know. I mean, we got engineers' estimates, which are often good, but we also need to make sure that we have enough to cover in case whatever the amount is that we think it isn't met.
Okay, other questions for Chris? Anything? Okay, I'll open this up for public comment, and anybody who wishes to address the council in relationship to this is welcome to come to the stand. Please state your name and kind of what you are, if that would be okay. Yes, please.
Thank you. My name is Eugene. I've been in front of the council before. I'm the developer of that property. I want to express a deep regret, okay, that we haven't been able to complete this in a timely manner. Few things came up in construction, such as we discovered partition spring, which necessitated state water master to get involved, which necessitated city and design of 1000 North. A few other things came up as well. Also, I'm in the process of refinancing the loan. We have a closing that is set to happen in about 3 weeks, approximately 23rd of this month. This was not envisioned. We have made agreements, okay, with the lender to be able to cover things as recently as about 2 weeks ago, and have this as part of a closing so we can pay off the lender. That did not happen, hence liens occurred, and I found out yesterday. So my humble request would be if bonds are released, or a portion of the bond is released, as I discussed with Chris, okay, that is applied to what is owed to the general contractor, as they have to be made whole. So they will be made whole either through closing or through closing in combination of what is owed here. So my firm intention is to complete the project as I have everything in it, and there's 3 buildings built, and there's tenants in them, and they have families to feed and producing income as well. So I look forward to a decision of the council, and I'd appreciate if you can give us a shot. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else that'd like to address?
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Kyle Terry. I'm a director for Westland Construction, the general contractor for the Hobble Creek project. And as Eugene stated, as we address this this week, just due to the nature of the necessity of Westland Construction to get paid, we had asked if there was a possibility for Springville City to hold the money, because that way there's a guarantee that we will get paid upon completion of the work. Currently, we're behind on the project. approximately $1.5 million through through September, with another 800,000 that is due in October. So approximately $2.3 million is currently what we're outstanding. We're working with the lender in hopes that we can get 1.5 of that paid relatively soon to get us caught up, which leaves obviously there's still some work to be doing out there. We are getting close, but where the code talks about liens, we are asking for you guys to consider just holding the bond. That's just a guarantee for us that we can get our money. We filed a lien due to non-payment. That is our right as a contractor in the state of Utah. And we just want to see this thing through to the end. We have not stopped even due to non-payment. And so we're just asking in good faith that we can work this out with Springville City.
So help me understand, you're 1.5 behind on billing. You have work finished as of $800,000.
I have $2.3 million that has been billed to the owner.
And that's work that has been finished.
That is work that has been finished.
And how much work do you have left to do approximately?
So approximately, there's about $600-ish thousand is what give or take to finish what's left.
Okay, so roughly $3 million.
So what I'd like to see, and I don't know if this is possible, we'd like actually to see if Springville City would entertain the $800,000 for October. I know that is before the deadline of the default. But between that and then what the 600 that's left, I mean, we're right at the 1.4. I guess it doesn't really quite work if you have to hold the 10%, which I think we understand. But I think there's a reasonable solution, and like I said, you've heard from the owner who's, I think, given his consent to that. So,
Mayor, just for clarity, that I'm assuming, I don't know the complete relationship here, but the scope of your review is limited to the public improvements?
Correct.
Correct.
And also,
yeah, and so just the 800,000 was just work that was done for, I believe was done for just right-of-way work in October.
Yeah, and this is just my opinion. I think the scope of us holding the bond is for completion.
Yeah.
And so we're just taking what money we have to finish out the project, and if there's money left over, I think that that's part of turning it to the owner.
And that's what we're saying. We would like to work with Springville City. I think Chris would vouch for Westland. I mean, I'm not going to tell him to vouch for us.
I think we all know you, so.
But I mean, in good faith, Westland has stayed on this thing to get asphalt down and to get this thing tied up, so it didn't become another problem for Springville City.
Yeah, and I think my comment was nothing more than just to make sure we didn't get between you and the owner, because that's really not our role through the whole thing.
And I understand that, and however, Westland needs a guarantee because we haven't been paid. I need a guarantee for the work to finish the work. Correct. And so I think the thought was, if you guys hold it,
we got it,
and pay us, and if the owner's willing to maybe sign on something that he's okay with that, I don't see it being an issue. But I don't know all the legal ideas for this. It's just a solution. It's an easy solution for a problem that we'd like to get resolved.
I think we're on the same page. So, okay, questions for this gentleman from Westland?
We think we understand.
Okay, all right, sounds good. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you representing the contractor, so thank you.
Rather than just adding to the problem, you have a solution, so that's good.
Yeah,
yes.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You betcha.
Thanks.
I would say, Mayor, sometimes it's hard what your heart wants to do, but you know you can't. You know, you want to help people out, but in reality, we don't have that right to do that with this. We just can't go against this. We have to do what we have to do. Yeah.
We got one more comment here.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't see you coming. Please come up and identify yourself. I apologize.
My name is Judd Messenger, and I represent Sundance Bay, the lender on the project. And as a lender, we claim a right to the bond money as well, because we funded the cash bond up front, and our agreement with the borrower states that we should receive the bond money back in the proceeds, but we do agree with the chance of having the bond money go directly to the contractor to help pay for the cost of the work if it if it works out legally, we support it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
And what was the lender? What was the name?
Sundance Bay, it's a private lender.
Sundance Bay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, you've heard from the landowner and the lender and the contractor. So, thoughts or motions?
A motion that we close the public hearing. Move it to a vote.
Okay, those in second.
I'll second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Okay, very good.
I'll follow up with a motion to approve the forfeiture of the improvement completion assurance bond of the Hollow Creek Industrial Project located at 1750 West, 1000 North in Springville.
I'll second. Well, we've got a motion and a second, so we're going to call for a vote here. Okay, you've heard a motion and a second. Those in favor say aye.
Mayor.
Yes.
Oh.
What I was going to say was this, was that it would be nice if there was an addendum to the motion that said if there's a way legally that we can help pay for the contractor through the release of the funds, that the money would be directed to the contractor. I think that's what the lender is looking for, and I think that's what the contractor is looking for, and I think that's what the borrower or the landowner is looking for. There's a way to amend that motion, so that would be.
So not just the forfeiture, but then add that to my motion,
Okay.
that the proceeds.
Well, right now you have a motion, and a second, so you got to go on that one.
yep.
But you could make a motion to amend.
Somebody could interrupt to make.
I was going to say, I can adjust
Yeah,
my motion,
you
right?
can,
And
you
just
can.
say add that, because I mean, that was the unintended result, but we need to state that.
So,
That,
yeah, the best way to do that would be to move to amend the motion and state what you want to change, and we'll vote on that, then vote on the amended motion. So it's some procedure there.
Will there be an opportunity for a question on the motion?
Subject, yeah.
Yes.
Well, my question is, we have been given this number of what's left to actually be paid for public improvements. Are we in a position that we know for sure that all the other public improvements have been paid for? Do we know that, or are we just assuming that?
They've been paid for?
The contractors who put them in have been paid.
We
Well,
do.
I don't think paid is the right question, but maybe just have they been done? And I think that's what he's stating, is that the bills have not been paid.
Well, that's the point. I think we know these aren't done, but the other ones that are public improvements on the east side and the west side, are you the only contractor out there that's been doing improvements, public improvements?
Well, no, so we're the general contractor was hired. For example, Sunrock.
Yeah.
Westland is just the general contractor, so we're the managing contractor.
Yeah.
Sunrock has been the subcontractor that has been doing the work.
Okay.
Kilgore has been doing the paving, stuff like that. But we're representing, in our numbers, we're representing all of them.
Okay, I guess that's my question. We don't know for sure that those guys have been, those other two entities, Kilgore and Sunrock, have been paid. We don't know that. And would they have a claim at some point, if we do what the motion would suggest to give it to the contractor, would they be able to come back and say, hey, I didn't get paid?
Yeah, as part of this, we're going to have to make some decisions after the council makes their decision. And if the decision is to default on it, we're going to have to look at documents and all kinds of things to try and figure out where the money should go. So
yeah,
which brings up, I mean, do we really even need to add that sentence to it? Because we're just saying, all we're saying is we're going to forfeit it.
we are, but what you're
We don't
giving
have
us-
to say what we're going to do with it now that we forfeit it, though, do we?
Well, we have to complete the improvements, and so that's the main thing, is to make sure the improvements that were supposed to be done are done. But with what you put as an amendment, if that is your amendment, that gives us some direction on what we should be trying to do too. So it's just added direction.
But to Chris's point, we could come back and discuss that later.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm concerned about the wordage. If you amend it to say to the contractor, we don't know for sure that they're first in line as a contractor for the public improvements that have been made. So I don't know how we can guarantee that we would give
No,
it.
we
Pretty easy. Sorry to interrupt. And the reason for that is from all of those contractors who have filed on the SCR, the State Construction Registry, we could get we can get them to fill out their liens. I mean, it's pretty easy, and we just need to with those, give that to you that, you know, and if Springville City needs to pay them direct, that's fine
joint
too.
payee checks. I mean,
There's ways around this that are.
But Chris's point is valid, is
It
that
is,
if
yeah.
we could give you the money and you guys go to
then
the
I don't pay
Bahamas,
somebody.
and then all of
Yeah.
a sudden Sunrock's saying, hey, we're gonna lien this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
That's
and
why
not
I'm
that
saying
you
I don't
would,
think
but-
we
But
say
through
we
the
give
state
it back.
construction
No,
register,
I get your point.
There is a plan through the state construction.
But there is a method that
But we
you
should
can.
put that in our
Yep.
resolution.
Okay, yep.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, the main thing is if it's defaulted, we do what we can to put the improvements in and follow our ordinances. And if you do give us some guidance, we can consider that guidance. But the main thing is to follow our ordinances and make sure the improvements are put in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so doesn't that maintain the motion that Greg made without the other section?
I mean,
Yeah, we can do that.
all I would say, I
It
mean, if
seems
I was
pretty
to amend it, I would say
straightforward to me.
working with Westland, the GC,
And that's
and not really dictate where the pennies go.
Yeah.
Just we work with Westland on this and get it taken care of.
Okay, I have an amended motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a vote on the amended motion. Those in favor, no,
On the amendment.
on the amendment, and then we do
So,
the amended motion.
From my perspective, could we hear what that is? What have you?
What does that say? What I say,
Just,
Kim?
just make it up,
What is the
Kim.
amendment?
Okay, to approve the forfeiture of the improvement completion assurance bond of the Hollow Creek Industrial Project located at 1750 West 1000 North in Springville, and to work with
GC.
to work with Westland.
Construction, the
General
general
contractor.
contractor. Yep. Okay, guide me through this.
You all right with that, Troy?
Yeah, I have no idea what it means, but hopefully John does.
We'll
So
figure it out.
what you're, then so you have a motion and a second, you'd be voting on the amendment.
Amendment. Those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed. Now we go back to the
Amended motion.
Amended
So that would
motion.
be the full thing Kim read, the forfeiture of the bond and to work with Westland Construction.
Okay, I need a motion to that.
No, well,
It's on
that's
the
it.
No, it's there.
Okay, a second.
And it's there too,
It's
right?
there. We just
Okay,
need a
we're
vote.
just gonna go for a vote. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Does anyone understand what just took place? Because you catch me after and explain it to me. But I think principally what we're trying to do is we're trying to thread the needle of what the owner, the lender, and the builders wanted to accomplish. And I think we're trying to amend. Is it our responsibility? It is not. Frankly, it's for us to take the money, finish the improvements, and then just send the money back. But we're trying to help all of you. So anyway, I hope that's understandable. So, okay, thank you. All right, we'll move on to something more complicated.
Can we back up to something complicated? If that's right. We had a brief sidebar conversation here, and I think Councilmember Crandall had a comment on the consent agenda. She just wanted on the record.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, and I apologize. I was not exactly sure that I didn't quite understand. But on consent agenda item 3, I wanted to say no. Can I say that? And that's okay. But just on the record.
Just
but
as long as
everybody-
it's on the record.
As long as it's on the
Yep.
record, that's all I want. Okay,
Thank
thanks.
you. Okay, I just want to make sure that the natives behind me are not too restless, that they have done a great job, and they don't need to feel like they have to stay here.
Anytime you want.
Yeah. So if you,
Drink.
you okay? Okay,
I'll
all
go
right.
with you. Oh, wait a minute, I have to stay, sorry.
All right, let's move on, if we can, to item number 7, and that has to do with Chris Greer, if you'll just address this.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council people. We're talking about purchasing some property. This property is up east of the Arts Park. There are 2 parcels. One of the parcels is in 2 lots. So this property does not extend all the way up to Canyon Avenue. There's a home in between the property. So it's Arts Park property, another home, Canyon Avenue's right there. It's north of the road that's going down to the high school. So this property is currently owned by Adam Waite. He's suggesting that we purchase this property. There is 0.7 acres of the property. The land is worth $490,000 as it has been appraised. There's half of a water share that's worth $4,500 that goes along with that. So the total price of that's $494,000 and $494,500. And one concession that we are making is that on the very northeast corner of that property, we allow his parents who own that home that's up there on Canyon Road, that they can park 2 trailers on that property during their lifetime, but we do have the right to go in if we have some sort of thing we want to do at that property to give them a 90-day notice to get off of the property. That's the situation. Does anybody have any questions or
Questions?
kind of went fast?
I mean, some of that's kind of the hillside, but so it was appraised at 495 or 494,500, and that's because in theory it could be buildable lots, right?
Yeah, there's 2 buildable lots
Yeah,
there.
that's 0.7 acres. I mean, it's definitely worth that because I think improvements are close to it as well. It's right.
Yeah, the one lot is
they're
fully
basically improved lots.
Yeah, and the other one has a few improvements.
Yeah, I mean that's market value. I'm not.
Well, and
So,
isn't
I'm
one
gonna-
potential intent that we could expand the Arts Park?
Well, yeah, we're not buying it to build houses on it. I don't think.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that to justify the price of what we're paying for it is it's not raw land. It's finished lots for the most part.
And it's decent land. It's hillside, but it's not
Oh,
steep.
yeah, you could build. You could build
You could-
probably
you could
3,
do
depending
some-
on the zoning. We could, get
Yeah, you could do some
Josh
good
to
things with the
approve.
Arts
So,
Park,
yeah. No, I think it's great use of land. So I'm okay with it.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, I'll entertain a motion then for improvement of resolution.
I'll make the motion to approve a resolution approving the land purchase agreement with Adam Waite for parcel number 52-059-0016 and 52-059-0028.
I'll second.
Okay, it's a roll call vote. Whoops.
Oh,
Please.
yes, resolution number, I read the one above it. That would include resolution number 2023-36.
We okay, Kim? Okay, it's a roll call vote. Liz?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Craig?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Me.
Is it that's George's place, isn't it? That has the trailers. Is that George? Wait. No.
He's one north of that.
Oh, he's the one. Okay, I'm just curious because I'm going to see him later this week, and I want to say, hey, get those trailers. No, I'm just
The
kidding.
trailers are at Adam's parents. I believe it's Frank and Coley.
It's Frank.
Yeah.
It's Frank. Okay.
And we have the weights here.
Oh,
Thank
they
you
are
for
here.
being here. We
Where?
appreciate you
Oh,
being here.
They are right there. Hey.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And thanks to the weights. We appreciate your consideration for
thanks.
this. Hope it's worked out well for you and certainly worked out for us, so thank you. We appreciate it. Okay, item number 8, Josh?
Mayor, Council, thank you very much. We're here today to hopefully take action on the active transportation plan. As we start, I want to remind us all that active transportation is simply the means of getting around that's powered by us, walking and bicycling. And I want to take a minute to again recognize everyone who's played a real big role in this process. Our Active Transportation Ad Hoc Committee, those 7 citizens there, our staff members, and our council representative and planning commission representative. Everyone's been key to the process and has really put in the time over a number of years to move this ahead to the finish line. As we discussed previously, the general plan and other existing plans make a very good case for us adopting this plan and making these investments. The general plan in the transportation and circulation section says that it's in the city's interest to provide a safe, inviting, accessible, and comfortable environment for pedestrians and those who use transportation other than personal motor vehicles. And this plan is really well equipped to do that. The plan goes on to tell us at the end of the statement that more refinement of these systems will be needed over the next generation, and this plan is again intended to help us refine and connect the resources we have, which are few but well loved. And the general plan also establishes a number of objectives and strategies that help us understand this plan's role in fulfilling the general plan. There are some great images that we've looked at from the general plan that help us visualize what that document viewed as the future for Main Street and other streets, and this active transportation plan will help us achieve that vision. This is our existing bikeways map from the 2011 general plan, and shows the few and separated facilities we have. And the active transportation plan is a plan that anticipates the full build out of the city and really includes all of the facilities that would be necessary to take us to that build out. It's a very long range plan. Our other existing plans also support and direct us to make progress and advance the active transportation plan. Previously, we've discussed a couple key questions. How should the plan be adopted? Do other master plans need to be updated for this plan to be successful? And how are we going to fund the plan? Now, do you all have a copy of the ordinance in your packet, correct? The adoption ordinance? This is where I want to walk through a couple of the specific provisions that we included in the ordinance. We often don't have, or at least I often don't have as much meat in the ordinance, but this is really where we're providing the guidance to staff from the council to implement this plan. And the first is that the plan, when adopted, and this is under the adoption section, which is about 2/3 of the way down the first page. The first is that the active transportation plan is adopted as the active transportation element of the Springville Transportation Master Plan. So this will immediately take effect and be adopted as part of that plan. The Parks and Recreation staff will identify the recommended facilities that are in the active transportation plan and determine which ones are within their purview, and then they will work to amend the Parks, Recreation, and Trails Master Plan to include those. Public Works staff will work to update the standard drawings and specifications to reflect the standards and the plans recommended in the active transportation plan so that they are implementable and can be required of new development. Then staff is directed to include an active transportation operations and maintenance budget component in the upcoming fiscal 2025 budget. And the ordinance further directs us to identify a list of projects, to study the feasibility of those and propose those as part of the annual budget submission to the council on an ongoing basis. There's one more element in those adoption, or those 7 items listed in the ordinance that we'll talk about a little bit later as we talk about public engagement. So this, again, or looping back to the plan, it implements the goals and objectives we have set and have reviewed. It makes recommendations. It specifically focuses on 4 pilot projects, and then includes, as I mentioned, plans for the full build-out of the network. I've said before, this would be like going to Aaron Johnson and giving him our current transportation master plan. And it's, although hopefully it's not 170 years in the making, it's does reflect really everything that we could see happen. And it recommends developing a number of policies. It doesn't adopt those policies or really flesh them out, but tells us that we need to look at everything from counting bikes and pedestrians so we can analyze the progress we're making and how our facilities are being used and understand the return on our investment, all the way down to studying what type of bike parking and amenities and pedestrian amenities we can start including in our city to encourage more utilization of those modes of travel. The Planning Commission reviewed the plan and made a couple of recommendations. The first, that education be a component of the plan. The second, that the safety of new and unfamiliar facilities, and especially facilities in neighborhood contexts, are implemented in a way that's safe. And then lastly, that every project receives a really thorough public engagement process as it is being designed and implemented. And that is what you see in number 7 in the adoption ordinance, that tells us that city staff with Public Works as the lead department is directed to create a proposed policy for communication with all property owners, businesses and residents directly abutting each proposed capital improvement project. And so we really extended this at administration and the mayor's direction to include all of the capital improvements we do out in our city, that we do better in engaging and include those projects in developing this public communication and public engagement policy, so that we don't have any projects as we move into the future where somebody shows up at a council meeting and say, I didn't know that A, B, or C project was happening in front of my house and I wish I did. We, as we mentioned in the last meeting, redefined bicycle boulevards, and it was noted in your staff report, the plan itself was changed on the future or the recommended facilities page to reflect this new definition. And then education was also added into the policy section, as well as the statement on safety concerns and making sure that all of the signage, road markings, or other improvements encourages safe behavior in each context. So that's really the last things we needed to tie up and discuss in relation to this really substantial plan. And I wanted, again, I quickly brushed past the Planning Commission's recommendations, but I wanted to discuss or mention what has been discussed internally, that the Planning Commission spent a significant amount of time in review and then discussion in the meetings to provide to you as the council reasoned analysis and some really good recommendations that made substantive improvements to the plan. And as a staff member, I'm really appreciative that we have a Planning Commission that is engaged and is willing to have difficult discussions and propose alternatives and propose recommendations that make the end product better. So that sums up my presentation, and again, this came to you with a positive or a recommendation of approval from the Active Transportation Advisory Committee, the PAR Board, and Planning Commission with the recommended changes that you saw and that we have incorporated. Thank you.
Okay, questions for Josh? This is not new.
No, we've had plenty of discussion.
So Troy, I had that one sentence. I don't know if that's even worth discussing. There was a point, I think I know what was trying to be said, and I think one of the sentences in there said something which it could be easily misinterpreted, so.
Yeah, and as we went back through that's actually in the background materials. It's not part of anything being adopted tonight.
Okay.
And so I think we know your concern, and through kind of the policy statements and adoption, we'll make sure that we correct that language as direction goes to staff, but it won't change anything the council's doing.
Okay, good. Well, just for clarification, what it said, I read the sentence, it said that we're going to prioritize active transportation over all projects. And I know that. And I know exactly what it was trying to say is that active transportation was going to have a reprioritization of how important it is. But I didn't read it that way, and we were reading it, and we kind of agreed that it probably could have a little bit better wording to it. So, okay. Wonderful.
Public comment.
We have one comment. Kurt, you want to address it this time? Would that be okay? Thanks, Craig.
Thank you, members of the council. My name is Kurt Boucher. I'm a resident of Springville. First and foremost, I'm here to say thank you to everyone who's been an active participant in bringing the Active Transportation Master Plan to this point where we are today. Members of the council, of course, some of you have had integral roles in bringing this to pass. I especially want to give thanks to Josh Yost, who has been tireless and has put in, I mean, thousands of hours. Is that fair to say? He's smiling. Yeah, a whole bunch of hours working with the ad hoc committee who helped bring this around. Thanks to the folks at Alta Engineering and Fair and Piers and Mountain Land Association of Governments. Mostly, I want to say thank you to the citizens of Springville who engaged with this process. As we were reaching out for public comment, we learned so many things from the citizens of Springville as to what their needs are, what their wants are as regards active transportation in the city. And the plan that we've had multiple discussions, really represents what the citizens of Springville have given us feedback in their neighborhoods, in their homes, on their streets, getting their kids to school safely. And the plan that has gone through all these iterations that is before you tonight is not for the guys who ride fast in spandex. The plan for you.
Kurt, you were pointing to me just then.
That was just a random
I'm not
gesture.
sure what that meant.
I should have been doing like this.
He only has spandex. He does not ride fast anymore.
Not anymore. He'll get there. He'll get there.
I'm working back to it, so.
But it's something that the citizens of Springville have said over and over again in their input into this plan, is that they recognize that the plan that's before you is for families to be able to get safely to the park and church and practice. It's so that your kids and grandkids don't have to be driven to school to get there safely. It's to get unnecessary cars off the street so the people in cars don't have traffic that they have to worry about. The plan before you is for those who, due to age or financial situation or just their choice, don't get from place to place in cars. And thank you for your consideration of the plan. Thank you for everybody who's worked toward it. The plan before you will make Springville, which is an already fantastic place, will make it even better as it is implemented. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion then for approval of the active transportation plan.
Before I make a motion on this, Mayor, I would just like to second what Kurt has said and the many hours that have been put into this plan. It's been very well led and very well put together and vetted and modified and changed to benefit the citizens of Springville, and I appreciate that. So with that, I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 14-2023, adopting the Springville Active Transportation Plan.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
It's a roll call vote. Chris?
Yes.
Craig?
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Okay, here's my pile on. And Josh heard this morning, Troy did. I, too, am very grateful for this process. It's been like watching sausage get made, but at the end, I think we have a much better product overall that's very well balanced. And I appreciate the tenacity of Josh, because Josh knows where I was a year ago. I was so frustrated because it seemed like a plan that was worthless. And so Josh took it and actually just made it very workable. I appreciate, and Karen's here from the Planning Commission, I appreciate all the comments. Sometimes they feel like that they are not heard, and their voices rang out loud and clear on three very important issues, and they were all incorporated because of that. So we thank you for that. And the active transportation, the PAR board, I've gone through the minutes, and it's just been a very big group effort. And I think overall, it's been just a very good process. One thing that the city council's done that you may know, may not know, is that there's nothing more frustrating than to go through this process and then not have nothing done. And so we have certainly charged Josh and anyone in the city to make sure that we have not only an active transportation plan, but active plan to get something going and to do some things. So it's going to take some time, but you don't do it anything but one step at a time. Or in the bike's case, one pedal at a time, right? Rotation. Okay. And of course, Mike, he can now retire next week because he's been working on this since day one. So very well done. Very well done. Okay, wonderful. We will move to item number 9 then. And Josh, you're on deck again. Are you guys holding up okay? Want to stick around?
Getting late.
Okay, they're doing good. They're getting past their bedtime and they'd love it. They've got enough sugar in them to keep them going.
Ouch.
Wow.
That almost looks like
We're supposed to read this before we're done here? Oh, this is we've seen this before.
Oh.
Oh, it's missing a couple pages.
All right, what we have tonight is really a two-part item now that we've got it all figured out. And the first is we need to consider amendments to the Lakeside Landing Special District Overlay as proposed and requested by LGI Helms and the applicant and Spencer Connolly, and the engineer from Focus Engineering is also here tonight to answer any questions or speak to anything regarding this application. First, one of the big things we do when we get a plan in for Lakeside, or preliminary subdivision essentially, is we review it for regulatory plan compliance. And the regulating plan's that big map in the plan that we talked about so much as we adopted it, that basically tells us where everything is and what everything is. And when we get it, we review it to make sure that all of the streets are the right kind of street and in the right place, that the subzones, the transects, are in the right place, all the open space and parks are there, the lot types are right, the unit density is within the range established in the code, that the commercial square footage is there. And any substantive deviations from that plan requires action by the city council to amend the plan. And substantive deviations includes eliminating or adding streets, changing the depths and widths of blocks or half blocks, changing the boundaries of transect zones, changing the alignment of streets beyond a certain amount that we're able to do on a staff basis. So that brings us to the LGI amendments. This is for the 15 acres that was added as the southeast area in January of 2022. On the left is the existing regulating plan for the area, and on the right is LGI's proposal. The key changes are, and hopefully I can get the mouse here.
The left is the old, the
Left
right
is the old,
new.
the right is the new.
Okay.
The biggest change is the elimination of a road in this location and in this location, these two roads. Those roads were included in the regulating plan because the T5I was accommodates multifamily development, and those multifamily lot types require frontage on a street. And so that was included there to provide that frontage. That did create a situation where those multifamily or units that were developed here would look across the street to the side of this new Lakeside Industrial building that's just being completed south of Center Street, just west of the freeway, that you can see as you drive the freeway. LGI is a single-family detached and single-family attached builder. They're not interested in building any multifamily for rent product in this area, so they have sought to reconfigure the east block to remove that road around the perimeter and then arrange their units on a series of interior courtyards, so that essentially the industrial is in everybody's backyards, nobody's front yards, and it provides a way for them to do their single-family for sale product. In the center block, or around the perimeter and in the center block, we had to realign some roads to stay off of people's properties whose properties aren't in Lakeside, and to kind of align it with actual engineered surveys. The initial regulating plan was built off kind of a GIS map, and if any of you have worked out in this area, the surveying the parcels are a real mess out here. There's all kinds of overlaps and gaps, and after everything got figured out, we had to fuss the roads around a little bit to actually be buildable and follow some property lines. So those are the next set of changes, and that really reconfigured the center block and moved the road on the south up to clear the north side of Love's. What LGI has also done is they have taken the opportunity provided to them by the slightly wider blocks on these corners to add some pocket parks or some small parks to the neighborhood, on both sides of the street here and then on these northeast corners of these two blocks. This center block thinned out a little bit, and then this western block got substantially wider. And they also, as a result, reconfigured the alleys to provide a configuration that would serve the lots based on this new block configuration, and including these new pocket parks and these pedestrian walkways. They also realized after actually pretty far down the line that the location of this pedestrian green street that had been believed to be on the adjacent property, and that this adjacent property had believed to be on LGI's property, when both groups were doing their engineering, turned out that it was on nobody's property. So it was worked out that that would be located and be part of LGI's subdivision. So they're building, as part of their development, this pedestrian green street. And so now that area is now included in this southeastern part regulating plan. This table here on the right is formatted in our amendment format, where the old is struck through and the new is underlined. And it shows that they've gone from 10.53 acres to 9.77 acres of net developable land. So that's all the property excluding street right-of-ways. And then we net out parks and common greens here, and they've added a substantial amount to that, from about half of an acre to about 2 acres. And that has then yielded a slight change in net developable land within the T4 area and within the T5. What you may be looking at this and thinking the math doesn't quite work, but what has actually happened is these small pocket parks weren't part of the original open space required in the plan, and so those are still counting towards LGI's net developable area, and they are providing those and maintaining those as an amenity to their residents. The other change that happened is that the T5I and T4 line moved a little bit and resulted in the reduction of a 0.34 acres in the T5 area. The only real effect that has in this plan, because the LGI is not maximizing the number of units they could get here by, I think about 2 units are left on the table from the new yield, which is about 9 less than the previous yield. We're losing about 1,000 square feet from about 50. We're going from 5,800 to 4,800 square feet of commercial in that T5I area. As we analyzed this, the Lakeside Landing Special District Overlay establishes a number of principles that guide it and that we can use to evaluate changes to the plan. The first is diversity, and staff feels that the amendments retain the commercial space and the diversity of units that was planned, that it maintains well-appointed streets, green courts, and provides even more small parks. It increases the compactness, pedestrian walkways and greens, and it introduced additional curves into the street network, which will slow down through traffic and provide a more comfortable and safe environment for those on foot and on bike. Under the street-oriented design category, instead of facing industrial across the street, units now face each other across green courts, except on the south side where the units face a green court, and then on the other side of the green court will be the perimeter fence or wall, and then the back side of the the Bonneville Equipment dealership. Let's see. Oh, I do have, just to show you what that looks like, I'm going to skip ahead here and just show you this this plan. So you see now all of these units on the east side, instead of facing the street that used to be here and then the industrial product across the street, now face onto common courts. And the southern bank of units face onto a wide courtyard, which then faces the perimeter of the project here.
Josh, are those alleyways off the, I can't tell what west
Sorry.
is, 2000 West?
Yes.
So those streets go in there. Are they alleyways around the back side there now then, on that
Correct.
T5? Okay.
Yep. So that's basically two U's, two sideways or backwards C's, I guess,
Okay.
and then the alley that comes to the north.
Okay.
Those are city, though.
So they access their house through that east side. They have a garage over there, and that's
Correct.
how they, okay.
Correct.
And that butts up to that. But those are also T5, right? So you've got,
This line right here represents the T5, but LGI is not.
they're not using the T5.
They're not using any units that are available in the T5I that are not available in the T4.
Cool, love it.
So,
And
overall
the
density.
backward C's are city streets, whereas the alleys are not.
No, these are the alleys.
That's right. That other's just walking.
The
So the only city street is that 200. Oh,
The
sweet.
street,
That's even better.
200
Love it.
South, 2200 and 100.
Shovel that snow. Love it.
So talk about on-street parking. That was brought up in the planning commission.
Yeah, let me skip back to the.
I don't mean to jump
That
ahead,
doesn't
but
show those pocket parks, does it, or am I missing them?
It does. So the pocket parks are here
Okay.
and through this block. This is the pedestrian green street in the middle that's always been there, and then this is the second of the four
And then the one across the
parks
street. Okay.
here and then here, and then they've moved the pedestrian green street onto the east side or the west side of their project, and we'll construct that. Let me come back here to the Planning Commission recommendations. Staff recommended that the Planning Commission consider including or recommending that LGI include additional surface parking or visitor parking to serve those units that are on the alleys, since the ratio of units to street or curb length is decreased because there's more units on the courtyards that run perpendicular from the street. It's nice to see that I'm the one that finally
drove them out.
Yeah.
Thanks, Miles.
Hey, we've got one that's staying. He's staying the course.
Probably walking home, but he's fine.
They lasted longer than the people on the back two rows.
And so staff reviewed that and Planning Commission reviewed that and followed staff's recommendation to have LGI include this additional pedestrian. Well, actually, I can show you here.
Yeah, as I read it, I couldn't understand
This
where the
additional-
walkway was and where the
Yeah.
parking was.
This is the additional walkway here. They had provided one up here connecting this park through to the Green Street, but not down here. So they added this little green pedestrian connection there.
That was the 10 feet.
Yes, that was
Okay.
the 10-foot minimum width a pedestrian walkway. And then they, on their preliminary site plan, which is the next item on the agenda, they've included 14, I believe, surface parking stalls for visitors for this area, back in this area that were not previously present. And they are only accessible off of this alley that is to serve the residential units. And the commercial building or the commercial pad here is served by its own driveway off of Center Street and doesn't have any cross access between that and the residential portion.
And that was to make up for the lack of
Right.
on-street parking that the alley took away, correct?
Correct.
On that far east side.
Right.
I got that right?
Right, now we have all these units facing onto a courtyard instead of onto a street, so there's more units for each available on-street space, essentially, so they provided some additional off-street visitor parking.
But that didn't change the 2 parking stalls per unit. Okay,
No,
great.
It provided, is essentially provided additional parking than what is required into the zone, just to acknowledge the unique configuration.
Right.
So we're pleased that LGI quickly accepted the recommendations made by the Planning Commission and didn't even wait to come and hear what the council had to say. They provided us an updated site plan right away and said, we're happy to do that. And so when you get to the site plan, you'll see that they've followed those recommendations. So the Planning Commission recommended that the council adopt these amendments, including the staff recommendations for the additional pedestrian walkway and the off-street visitor parking. That's all I have on item number 9. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Josh, can I just say that I'm understanding your granular better now that you have, we had the big overview and now we're putting it into action more. And I just think it's an improvement, and I'm grateful for that. And I just also want to say that I'm grateful for the Planning Commission too, and when I get to sit in on the meetings and how they are able to understand and bring up their thoughts on the problems that may arise and how they can settle them. So thanks, Karen and Planning Commission, and thanks, Josh. I think this is great.
I'll make sure they hear that.
Okay.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 15-2023, amending the southeast part regulating plan on the Lakeside Landing Special District overlay, including changes recommended by the Planning Commission.
I'll second.
Okay, it's a roll call vote. Craig?
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Didn't even give me a chance to ask if there were any additional questions. You just were
If you got
jumping.
any questions, let's hear them now.
Yeah,
Oh, it's too
apparently
late.
so. Okay,
Too
let's
late.
move on number 5 then.
All right, item number 5 is the preliminary subdivision from LGI Homes. This is our first subdivision over the preliminary approval line in Lakeside. It has 158 lots, a combination of single-family detached using the compact cottage lot type, twin homes using the shallow cottage and the compact cottage twins, and then townhomes using the compact townhomes, including one commercial lot with a minimum of 4,800 square feet in the building. So for a small neighborhood commercial building, actually a pretty reasonably sized commercial amenity to the neighborhood. This is the phasing in the lot type plan, which shows you how the lots are laid out. LGI at this point plans to build the homes in the northern half of their 15 acres abutting Center Street first before moving on to the south. We've reviewed the plan through the Development Review Committee and have addressed all of the elements and comments that Public Works and Community Development in particular and Public Safety feel are necessary to advance this to the next phase of approval, which is the final subdivision plan. But there are, and this is the actual updated site plan you'll be adopting, as we discussed before, with the added walkway and the added surface parking. The conditions of development are that they complete the outstanding DRC items in final plat. There's a number of engineering, small things that engineering said we're comfortable to have you move forward to final and address these in the next process. We also have utility master plans that are remaining to be completed, basically the framework plan for how power, water, sewer, power, water, sewer, and pressurized irrigation work for this whole area. LGI has done all the engineering for their 15 acres and for part of the periphery road to the north on Center Street. But we have separate applications and separate reviews that are happening for basically the trunk system. There are also off-site utilities that need to be brought before any of these units can be occupied. The key one that LGI is working on particularly is the pressurized irrigation. There's an understanding between staff and the applicant and with all of the phases of Lakeside, that we can't grant certificates of occupancy for any of the units until we have actual pressurized irrigation water in the pipes. We're not able to continue to put dry pipe in subdivisions and water in the interim with culinary water. So
Josh, do we have pressurized on the west side of the freeway?
we do not. It's at Smith's.
Okay.
So
is there a plan, or, I mean, that's a pretty
There is.
significant problem. There is a plan for utilities?
There is. LGI is actually, as part of their kind of division of duties with the other developers, has taken the lead on that. And they have initially got all of the horizontal alignment done for a plan to take it up the east side of the rail and then across Center Street.
Engineering, but how about financial? Because, I mean, like, we talked about this not too long ago, when the PID thing and all that came up. I'm just curious to know how it's going to get paid for.
It's a great question. I think perhaps the applicant could.
You guys have some answers? That's
to
very
that.
cool. That's great.
Nope.
Good.
So it's recognized that.
No. I'm just, that we can talk about it later. I'm going to go sleep so much better tonight. That'll be great.
And I hope things have changed a lot for them, because I know once trying to go under a railroad line took about 2 years to get approval. I don't think it's that long anymore. I hope not.
Yeah, we have ended up moving the right-of-way after preliminary designs came out for the Frontrunner project as part of the preliminary engineering through the environmental process that showed the Frontrunner right-of-way going right over the top of where we were going to put this pipe. So we've actually found an alternate route on the west side of the sharp line and the west side of that rail up to Center Street and then across and under the freeway.
But you, at some point, have to get underneath
They
it.
do have to go under the sharp line.
UP&L, is that?
Correct. At 1600 West. And also, it's understood that there are, I guess, trunk streets or main streets that also need to be in to facilitate this development to have two accesses, and that's primarily Center Street being completed from the frontage road to 2600 West, and then at least the pioneering road of 2600 West being completed from Center Street down to 4th South, that intersection there. So those are the elements. We just wanted to make sure we're on the record and everyone acknowledge that we are moving this preliminary plat ahead, and LGI is continuing to make progress towards putting up some houses for people, but there's still a lot of interrelated elements in play and a lot of problems that still need to be solved.
So how long does that take to solve the problems before they can start moving people in?
It's another good question.
Well, it's not a great question. It's just curiosity.
Yeah, LGI has indicated that they plan to start vertical construction in calendar 25. So that would be off-sites and horizontals.
That's pretty good.
Between then and now and then.
Yeah, that's really good.
And I'm sure they recognize, and we're not saying these questions because we don't want it to go through. We understand that they can't, there's no sense them doing any of that until we approve the subdivision. If we don't approve it, why do all that other stuff? But now they'll know if it gets approved, go ahead.
It's a great incremental step.
Very good. So to that point, any questions in relationship to the final plat approval?
I had one, if you
Yes.
don't mind. Just out of curiosity, it doesn't affect my vote, but back on your slideshow to where you show, that one works, right there, that right there. On the third, well, all of those on the, I think you call them T5s. I'm just curious where all those units are going to put their garbage out for the garbage truck to come along. And I don't even know if I'm sure you know if it's gonna, oh, that's got to get passed, but that looks to me kind of, is it just gonna be on the alley? Is it gonna be garbage collection with our big city garbage trucks on those alleys?
There's two options that it will be employed here. One, in some areas, depending on the location, residents will take their cans out to a public street. And in other areas, the long-range plan is to have some of these alleys, and you can see some of these larger turning radii here and here. Some of these alleys will accommodate the geometric needs of our waste vehicles, or our solid waste vehicles, and we would need to go and update our policies and ordinances to allow us to go do collection on those private alleys. That's the plan.
I didn't think we were responsible for snow removal on those.
You're not.
That's good. But the garbage collection, I just couldn't imagine all of them bringing them out to the main road. That's not gonna be, I guess,
An
my
adventure.
problem. Thanks.
Okay, other questions for Josh? Chris, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you didn't. I just, it's the mess I think it's gonna be.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion then for approval of the final plat.
I'll make a motion to approve the preliminary Lakeside Landing subdivision located at the 2200 West Center Street area falling within the Lakeside Landing Special District overlay.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we'll call for a roll call vote. Liz?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Craig?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Very good. Thank you. We appreciate you being here, being available for questions, so. All right, anything else that needs to be reviewed? Okay, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll motion that we adjourn this meeting.
Second?
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
I'll be back to say hello.
My little